Florida State upset yet again at home by Boston freaking College, falling to an 0-2 start on the season.
What the fuck happened?
You could not have asked for a worse response and a worse start to this season. You lose to Georgia Tech in Dublin and now Boston College at home in front of a sold-out crowd, which of course dwindled down there in the second half, and rightfully so. And you didn't just lose. You didn't just have some bad, fluky kind of luck. You just got whipped. Whipped by Boston College. Just completely obliterated any playoff hopes you had, which we had professional analysts predicting us as high as the number 3 seed in this year's playoffs. There's now literally a 1% chance to even make the playoffs, and that's if you win out, which doesn't even look remotely likely right now. Dropping the season opener against Georgia Tech, whatever. There's a number of things you could attribute that to. Travel arrangements, playing on a different continent, a new quarterback, a lot of new faces, just being caught off guard by a Georgia Tech team that may overperform this year. And you did only lose that game by 3 in the last-second field goal. Okay, fine, it's not over. But you had to respond against Boston College. I said it before the game. You couldn't just win. You needed to dominate BC. You needed to cover the spread and then some. Otherwise, there was major problems, and we should start hitting the panic button. Well, here we go. Full panic mode. You didn't respond. You didn't beat Boston College. You damn sure didn't cover no kind of spread. Matter of fact, it got worse. You looked even worse on Monday night against a worse team than Georgia Tech. At this point, sound all the alarms. You're 0-2, and that includes 0-2 in conference play. Your conference championship hopes are down the drain also. This is bad. This downfall needs to be studied, for real. And I've already seen all the comments from you guys. I know I'll get them again. Yes, I'm eating a whole bowl full of crow right now for sure. I repeated what I was hearing elsewhere, what I've seen with my own 2 eyes from last season. The lines of scrimmage, your offensive and defensive line, your run game, all should have been strengths this season. Well, now those look like the worst parts of your team. And for what it's worth, it wasn't just me saying all that stuff. Again, professional analysts were hyping up Florida State all offseason. You heard NFL scouts coming to the practices repeatedly to check out this defensive line specifically. You had Pete Thamel saying that Florida State had the best starting defensive line in the entire country. And for all of you SEC and Alabama fans out there that like to chime in, the GOAT, Nick Saban, right before Florida State played in Dublin, he touted Florida State as a top 5 program, citing the talent, the personnel, etc., saying that we're a top 5 team. Mike Norvell has been on record multiple times saying that this was the best line he's had since he's been here. So I'll say it again.
What the fuck happened?
Brother, where did we go wrong? There's no chance that all these guys were just wrong. There's no chance that we were bold-faced lied to. There's no shot. As a fan, you even felt like this was going to be a good year. Maybe not quite the 13-0 season from last year, but we all knew the talent experience that this team was fielding. Georgia Tech and Boston College were supposed to be your tune-up games. Something has gone horribly wrong, and it happened fast. But what is it? What is the problem? Now, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this in the midst of all my sulking, and I really can't put my finger on what it is that's gone so wrong, but I think that's because it's actually a lot of little things that have all just kind of reared their ugly head at once. I think what you're seeing is, for one, just a significant drop-off in talent from last year, a lot more than we expected. But this team isn't that bad. This team is full of players infinitely more talented and athletic than anyone Boston College has. A lot of folks will bring up the recruiting struggles, and that's definitely a valid argument here. But, you still recruit better than Boston College and Georgia Tech. So that's not really a valid excuse for this conversation, for these first 2 games. But I think you've had some misses, both in the portal and from the high school ranks. I think there's some dead weight on this coaching staff, and I don't really know how anyone can argue that at this point. Now I think we're at a point where development is being thrown into question here also. Darrell Jackson listed as a top 5 freak athlete in the entire country, and he's getting whipped by bottom feeder ACC offensive linemen. Patrick Payton was poised to emerge this year also. Your offensive line was so experienced and so highly touted, they don't look like they can block a Pee-wee squad. Now that brings you to the quarterback. Now I know a lot of people have pretty strong opinions against DJ, especially at this point, and I hear you. I don't think it's all him. As a matter of fact, I think the biggest issue on this team is the defense. But DJ is definitely not it. That's a miss. And honestly, I think it's time you call it quits with the DJ experiment. I really do. He has no confidence. He won't throw the ball deep, whether that's because he doesn't see it or because Mike tells him not to. But either way, there's a problem at quarterback. So is this team just bad, or is it something going on behind the scenes, something intangible? Honestly, again, I think it's a little bit of both. I think Georgia Tech stunned you early on. I think the team was unprepared, which is all on this coaching staff. I think guys like Marvin Jones Jr. and Darrell Jackson just aren't as good as the initial eye test would suggest. I think there's been a lot of poor coaching decisions from Mike, whether it be play calling, personnel changes. And yeah, at this point, I think it's pretty fair to say that there's clearly no buy-in. That doesn't mean these guys are cancers, but just that they're not all playing as a team yet. And now at 0-2, it's going to be infinitely harder to get that kind of buy-in back that we've seen from other players under Mike Norvell these last few years. Maybe too many guys on this team know that this is their money year and they're playing selfish. I really don't know. I think it's a little bit of everything right now, and it's all kind of just combined and snowballed into one big problem. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling on a little bit here. It could be anything. What I do know is I am stunned, absolutely stunned, as we sit here 0-2, wondering what's next for this program in the worst possible way. I'm not sure exactly what the issues are, but they need to take this bye week and figure it out and find a way to get right, because this is horrible. And I think at this point that's going to mean some significant changes coming soon. And if not, then it's going to be a long, long season. And it's probably going to be one regardless, to be honest with you. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hate that it's under these circumstances, but I would like to hear from you guys. What the hell has happened to Florida State? What's the problem here? How do we fix it? All that good stuff. I'm really interested to see what you guys think down in the comments. But hey, help me feel better by dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel. We have a lot more content coming your way, and we'll be back again real soon. As tough as it may be right now, it's still always go Noles.